Hi, my name is Rhonda Nowakowski and I live in Deception Bay, which is in the marginal seat of Petrie. I have worked in the renewable energy sector, particularly solar, for the last 16 years this year. My industry has always been a vibrant and exciting one with which you can try your hand at many things within it. I have done warehousing and logistics for 7 years, internal sales, and then in 2009, I started working with my brother Brian, a veteran of the solar industry of 25 years, for his company Sun Driven, located in Geebung. I now do the administrative work, such as the creation of the STCs. STCs are the small-scale technology certificates that are part of the small-scale energy scheme. However, about 2 years ago, I started noticing a significant difference in my industry, with major solar companies folding, friends and acquaintances either closing their businesses or losing their jobs. The former state leader, Campbell Newman, decided to cut the Queensland incentives earlier than planned. My company, Sun Driven, installed Campbell Newman Solar for him, and he loved it. So we were surprised, as everyone, when this happened. Then the former PM, Tony Abbott, almost put the final nails in the coffin of small renewable energy companies with the axing of the STC multiplier. However, around this time, I met the national community group, Solar Citizens, at their community information night at the former Queensland leader, Campbell Newman's electorate. I was inspired to make a difference. Not to just be content to sit back and expect that others would make the decision to stand up for my industry. I then joined up to volunteer not long after this night. My first volunteer day was at the Nunda markets, asking people to sign their petition to save the renewable energy target, which was being considered to be totally cut at this stage by the then federal government. Since that time, I have done many things. I have done public speaking, such as the Save Solar Forum that Solar Citizens organised for the Australian Solar Council in Redcliffe. I spoke to a crowd of around 500 people, speaking as well at the Rally for Renewables in front of Peter Dutton's office at Strathpine, and at an information night that Solar Citizens held in New Farm. I have done market stalls in Castledine and Rockley markets, and at the Green Heart fairs in Carindale and Chermside, and a climate change summit at QUT. I have attended the Climate Change March in Brisbane and the G20 March as well. I have also dressed up as a solar warrior at North Lakes in the lead up to the Queensland state elections and handed out flyers and door knocked in both North Lakes and Caloundra, where we also did a protest on Kings Beach. In the lead up to the Queensland state elections, we had a win due to our strong campaigning prior to the elections, with the State Queensland Labor Party making a strong commitment to the renewables. And then to top that off, we then had the Federal Labor Party agreeing to do a 50% RET by 2030. Personally, I would like at least an 80% RET by 2030 to keep this country on track for future-driven economy. Buoyed on by the strong commitment of the newly elected Queensland Government, I submitted a cash flow positive program not long after this one to the Queensland Department of Housing with the assistance of my newly elected member from Marumba, Chris Whiting, here he is, standing the Stand Up for Solar, the pilot program would have assisted low-income earners with the cost of living. However, my proposal was rejected not long after. However, both myself and Chris Whiting tried again, but disappointingly, we were again rejected. I just don't think they understood my concept. I was hugely disappointed in the rejections. I think if they had taken the time to ask me in person, maybe they would have proceeded further. However, I was incredibly grateful to Chris Whiting for trying so hard, not only on my behalf, but of those of his local constituents that ultimately would have greatly benefited from the program. I have also protested in Canberra about saving the RET on Parliament lawn and met with politicians and also met with MPs such as Reg Gully, the former Queensland member for Marumba electorate, and the new state member for Marumba electorate, Chris Whiting. I have also had a meeting with Glenn Lazarus in his office when he was with the Palmer United Party, the federal member for Petrie, Luke Howarth, and the new ALP candidate, Jackie Peterson. There. I was also, when in Canberra, one of only 2 volunteers selected to speak, to both the Green Senate members, Mark Butler, the Shadow Minister for the Environment, and also to give a speech to the Labor caucus members in their caucus room. So although a bit daunting at first, I think a worthwhile thing to do. If everyone did nothing, nothing changes, and only the heavily subsidised fossil fuel industries win. The renewable energy sector has been under constant and is still under constant attack by our out-of-touch, near-sighted governing powers of this country, who, although now seem to have talked about being an innovative one under the new federal government, however, in my experience, actions speak louder than words. Being an innovative industry, we need to see actions now if we are to be the future-driven economy all Australians will benefit from. That is a modern renewable energy economy. Australia has always been a leader in the renewable energy race. We are now lagging behind countries like India and China. To me, this is a huge disappointment. For my industry, a huge disaster. Without strong leadership, this country will become a dinosaur like the fossil fuel industry it currently props up and relies upon. I say to the leaders of this country, show us a better innovative plan for Australia's future, because the current one doesn't cut it for all renewable industries. Australia's renewable energy sector, particularly small retail, is still struggling to keep its doors open to give the end consumer the right to choose a quality installer who will give him honest advice. If small renewable retail shops close, we'll end up with a disillusioned public who doesn't have faith in my industry. And that makes me wonder how my future will be in this fantastic industry. So with the hype around the new Tesla and other similar technologies now becoming the new innovative products for the consumer, I'm both excited and concerned for small retail in my industry. Will we become obsolete if these technologies are rolled out to large solar retailers who would then have a monopoly on the market? I would like to caution these technologies that they are sold only through wholesalers, as they have always been, not the large retailers, or there will not be small renewable retailers left in this country. Thus, the end consumer loses. So I'd like to ask you here today to help me in the lead up to the federal elections this year to initiate, innovate and motivate. Initiate the conversation with neighbours, friends and acquaintances about making the politicians listen to the people. The people say the time is now. Time for innovation in renewable energy and the policies that not only help Australia become a leading future-driven economy, but to give the solar owners installing solar to be fairly compensated, not penalised, to be putting their excess power into the grid, but to be rewarded for their investment. To make sure that people are given a voice to assist small renewable energy retailers to not only survive, but to thrive in our sunburnt country. To me, this is personal. I live in Queensland, I work in Queensland, and I'm a solar worker. And not only does my industry matter to me, I matter too, and I vote. I, for one, will be voting for the political party that helps me the most, not as all I have said, but as a consumer with my power bills. I would like for all of you here to help me, help the solar workers and the owners of this country to achieve this by taking the time to meet with your local politicians and demand your rights as all of the above to be treated fairly with respect and above all, a decent feed-in tariff and the immediate implementation of the elected promise of the 1 million roofs program by the Queensland government. If you can help me save my job and my industry, please, I beg you to do so now, before it's too late. As my friend Alicia said, visions, not regrets. Save our ret.